Hi again. I'm here with Jacob. He is my multi-sport athlete. He's playing football, baseball, and wrestles. And he's gonna show you guys all the moves for hands, forearms, elbows, and later on shoulders. So here we go with our first check-in, which I call Take 5. I learned this from a friend who's FRC specialist, and it's really just learning how to spread apart your pinky to thumb and then trying to manipulate each digit individually. So Jacob's gonna take his thumb and try to press the center of his palm, and then he's gonna switch and do his index finger and his middle finger, and then his fifth finger right there, and then repeat that, doing that on the other hand. So hope you can try this with him. Do each finger, and notice the fingers can get wired together and they want to move together, but we want to see if we can separate them and work them independently. So that is our check-in. We'll recheck in at the end and see how much difference it is after he rolls out everything we're gonna do right now. So the next thing we're gonna do is called a forearm meltdown, and Jacob's gonna take his right forearm and press it into the yoga tune-up balls. We have the originals placed here, and right in between the center of them, he's gonna find that divot and he's gonna start to roll out the extensors. And he's gonna take his opposite hand and actually pin that down so he can encourage a little more pressure as he rolls. How's that feel? Good. Let's move this a little closer to you. There you go. How's that feel? Easy to do? Okay. He's gonna just relax and find a spot here, and he's gonna squeeze his hand like a fist and create that tension in his forearm and then let it release. And he'll do that a few more times, contracting and releasing while finding this pressure and using his opposite hand to hold down at the elbow joint. And then from here, he's gonna find some range of motion doing some circles. So he's gonna let his forearm move. And he can also change the location of the ball set. So he can move it a little forward, or he can move it back a little and let his wrist really like hang in front of this setup. And you could do this on a table or a desk or a weight bench, wherever you have access to getting some height off of so your hand can move freely. And then from here, you're gonna pivot to the pinky side of your hand, and you're gonna roll that as if you were karate chopping the ball and sharpening a knife. So taking it nice and slow and working through each section all the way from the wrist to the elbow. And he can always use this hand to apply more pressure as he does this. And then he's gonna flip his hand down again, so he's gonna work on the flexors. So he's gonna flip again and pivot his hand down and go ahead and roll through the underside of his arm. And he can just let his wrist go slack here. So he's gonna let that relax and then just really move and groove in there. Yep, and he's changing the location so we can get through that whole forearm because our table's pretty short. And then from here, we're gonna go into what's called a plow grip. So Jacob, you're gonna move forward and you're gonna flip your hand each time. So you're kind of pronating and supinating that arm. Yeah, and that feels really nice, doesn't it? Great, and then we're gonna do that all on the other side. So we'll start again with his opposite. Yep, move your setup a little bit, get some space. And he's gonna work on the underside and flip the top of his forearm facing down. And he's gonna find some space there to pin and stretch by contracting and relaxing. So he's gonna make a fist and then release and then make a fist and release. And he can also find a different spot and continue to do that contract and relax. And then he's gonna also find some range of motion, circling the wrist around as he's still rolling, so you can still pass the balls up and down that forearm. Feels so great, doesn't it? Yeah, you don't realize how much tightness we all have here in this area because we're constantly gripping, we're holding phones, tablets, all these things. These muscles are really, really overused. Good, and then from here, find that karate chop. So you're gonna bring the pinky side down and the thumb up and just slice through like you're cutting something or sharpening a knife. Good, let's move this closer so you can not have to reach as far up. And then from here, he's gonna take his palm and flip it down and find a little bit more range here. He's gonna let his wrist go slack when he's moving through this area of the forearm. And then he's gonna pronate and supinate. So flipping it up as he ball plows through. And it's almost like you can pick the arm up and then reset it too. So you can do it two different ways. Slide and glide, and then start over and flip and then roll. Good. We're gonna work on thumb splits next. So we're gonna take our ball and we're gonna place the area of the hands here and here. We're gonna get into the stretch right in between the index finger and the thumb. So Jacob's gonna get his index finger down, his thumb down, and all he's gonna do is compress. So he's gonna hold that down and really feel that stretch in between, okay? So let that area really spread apart. And then he's gonna let that go after about 20 seconds. And then he's gonna repeat that. So he's gonna stretch out right in between, kind of holding down that index finger and thumb. And then he'll let that go slack. And then he'll do it one more time. So he'll press down, and you can do these 5 to 8 reps, and then let that go. And then we're gonna do what's called contract relax. So this is another yoga tune-up technique. So he's gonna take the same pressure that he just created, and this time he's gonna squeeze the ball as he inhales, and then he's gonna exhale and let that relax. Good, and contract, and then relax. And he'll do that one more time, contracting, and then relaxing. Then he's gonna go right into the thenar part of the hand pad, right where the thumb is. So he's gonna roll just that area of the thumb. Yeah, doesn't that feel yummy? Yeah, so all that, he plays catcher. So his hands are being worked a lot, and this area of his hand has to do a lot of work each time his hand touches the ball. You right-handed? Okay, so that is the thumb pad. And he can also take his opposite hand here and add a little pressure to that. So kind of lean forward, and you can even move the ball closer to you so you have some leverage with your shoulders over that area there. So notice how that feels. And then the last thing we're gonna do is pin, spin, and mobilize this area. So I want you to think of like you're squeezing an orange. So you're just gonna kind of pin the ball down and then spin the skin there and then squeeze it, and using that other hand to really help encourage that whole technique. How's that feel? Good. Okay, so let that go and we'll do the other hand. We're gonna start with the other hand, again, with our thumb splits. So Jacob's gonna take his index finger and his thumb, he's gonna spread that area of the hand far apart so he can feel that stretch in between those two digits. And he's gonna hold it for like 20 seconds. And then he's gonna let it go slack, and then he's gonna do that again. So he's gonna split that area, feel the stretch. Little bit of sustained compression here. We're compressing down and letting it continue to stay there as we're breathing, right? You're not holding your breath. Okay. And then from here, he's gonna do that one more time. He's gonna let it relax and then take another repetition of this. Again, you can do this 5 times, 8 times, 10 times. All depends on how much your hands feel they need a stretch. So if you're holding and gripping a lot of sports equipment like barbells or balls. And he's gonna then let that relax, and he's gonna go into contract and relax technique. So he's gonna squeeze the ball with those 2 fingers and hold it there, and then relax. He's gonna inhale again, find the contraction, hold his breath, and then release and exhale. And then do that again. Contract, and then relax. Great job. Going on to the thumb pad. So he's gonna go to the thenar, and he's just gonna shear. So he's gonna kind of roll right under this joint here and find pretty much a lot of relief, right? There's a lot of tension that builds up right there in the hand, and that always feels really good. He can also take his other hand over to help work that area a little bit more and add a little bit more pressure. And then he's gonna go right into the final action, which is pinning the ball down and then spinning the hand over it a little, and then finding that kind of orange squeezing. So if this was an orange and he's pressing down through here by pinning it down, spinning the skin a little, and then kind of rotating here and there to find that like orange squeeze visualization. And then release. We're gonna come into wrist extensions next. So Jacob is gonna come to his hands and his knees, and he's gonna face the camera with his wrists, his forearms facing the camera. So you guys will do the same with your pinkies towards the midline of your body, and your thumbs are on the outside. And then he's just gonna move back a little bit. So he's gonna challenge this stretch here and still try to keep this completely grounded. Yeah. Good, how's that feel after all that rolling? Good. And then he's gonna flip his hands around and wanna go into what's called a wrist push-up. So he's gonna come into an all fours position. You can move up a little bit so you have some space for your legs. And he's gonna keep this whole part of his hand grounded and just lift up his wrist, okay? Right where the hand connects to the wrist, he's gonna be doing about 101 reps. I got him. So working here, you know how many reps you need to do. Maybe it's 10, maybe it's 20, maybe it is 100, okay? I know gymnasts work on this a lot to strengthen their wrists. And then from here, he's just gonna come back, sit on his seat, and just kind of shake his hands out, just like he was shaking water off his wrists if he just washed his hands and didn't have a towel. And we're gonna recheck in. So he's gonna come back to his take 5 again, and you're gonna watch him press his thumb to the middle of his hand. Look at that. Yeah. And then he'll find his 5th finger. Good, how did that feel compared to the start? A little bit different, yeah. Your middle finger still wants to be rewired, or wants to be wired to your ring finger, or I should say your ring finger to your middle finger. Let's see what the other hand looks like. So take 5 over here. He's gonna press his thumb in, yeah. And then try to tap the center of his palm with each finger. Yeah, that's totally good. And wow, great job. And then the other thing you can do is take a ball like the alpha ball and test his grip. So he's gonna grab that and just kind of feel, take a nice squeeze there. Notice how his whole hand feels. What do you think? Good. Yeah, try the other hand, retest that grip. Your right hand dominates, so how does that one feel?
Still good.
Good.